Stagecoaching in England. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Stagecoaching in England, Cambridge to Oxford, 112 miles in 12 hours, by Charles E. Bolton. From A Model Village of Homes and Other Papers. LibriVox Coffee Break Collection, No. 7. In merry England the upper classes certainly know how to have pleasure. During the winter months the 20,000 members of the 300 clubs hunt not less than 4 days a week. Within a few years the old custom of coaching, which steam had forced to the rear, has been brought forward as one of the most delightful summer amusements. One of the charming sights of London, in May, is the turn out of 50 or more elaborate drags of the four-in-hand and coaching clubs. Royalty, nobility, and gentry furnish the membership. In addition, a score of stage coaches, owned and driven by gentlemen, make daily excursions into the beautiful and historic suburbs of the city. Foremost of these is the Defiance coach, which runs tri-weekly between the great universities via London. Captain Carleton V. Blythe is sole proprietor, and having travelled widely in America, in his tour around the world, he knows how generously to anticipate the wants of those in search of genuine recreation. $50,000 is invested in swift roadsters, 1 to the mile, and in Holland's famous coaches, models of style. While waiting at Cambridge for the time of departure, our 2 hours' walk led us through the majestic quadrangles of Trinity and St. John's Colleges, across the graceful bridges that span the classic Cam, under the grateful shade of long rows of stately elms and fragrant limes, and back into King's Chapel, built 3 centuries ago by the Henrys. Its 14 immense windows of exquisitely painted glass fill the eye with beauty. Portions of Bible history are written in the hues of the rainbow by the earnest hand of faith. The pillars and slender shafts, all tending upward, appear to lose themselves in the bossed network of ribs and fan tracery which strengthen and define the lofty vaulted roof of stone. Standing in silence, the heart is elevated in prayer to God, and fresh inspiration, the evident idea of the builder, is ours. The Defiance had accommodations for 12 passengers outside and 4 inside, besides seats for the driver and guard. We booked for the last seat, a sovereign each, it being Hobson's choice. The passengers included fellows of the colleges and tourists from America and London. The box seat beside the driver was given to a stylish lady. The guard, wearing a scarlet coat with gilt trimmings, blew a long brass horn, and as the clock struck 9, Captain Blythe gathered the reins well in hand, and we were off. Hundreds gathered at Bull's Hotel, bidding us good bye, and down King's Parade we went, rapidly passing St. Peter's, Pembroke, and Corpus Christi colleges, and upon leaving the famed city the spirited horses broke into a gallop, developing a speed that was rare enjoyment for those who believe in fast driving. The first 6 miles to Harston were made in just 35 minutes, where our heated team was quickly changed for 4 fresh bays, and we pushed on toward London. The roads were heavy from frequent rains, but without ruts, for the Romans, centuries ago, taught the Englishmen how to keep them smooth the year round. Hard limestone, broken small, is kept at convenient distances, and every indication of wear is immediately repaired. Excitement quickened acquaintance, and the passengers talked and joked on innumerable subjects. As an American we naturally sympathise with the tenant farmer, whose first $5 per acre and more of his scanty income must go to the non-producing landowner. His buildings, with thatched roofs, and children poorly clad, spoke plainly of pinching poverty. The rainfall since March 1st, 5 months, had been nearly 20 inches. His meadows were flooded, and fields of unripe wheat, barley, and oats, were everywhere badly lodged. haying, 60 days behind America, was not half finished. An Englishman said, "All went right while Providence managed the weather, but since the Americans have taken it in hand, they have sent us only beastly storms." So enormous are the importations of produce and meats from America, and they are constantly increasing, that the English farmer need not expect any great future profit from agriculture. Free trade, to be consistent, must also advocate free land. Otherwise entailment may wreck the English empire. In less than 3 hours we rode 28 miles, through Royston, where King James I. had a hunting lodge, out of Cambridgeshire into Hertford county, and on to Wade's Mill, where we gladly halted for a 10-minute lunch. Americans, accustomed to leave on their office door, "Gone to dinner, return in 5 minutes," did ample justice to hot mutton joint, etc., much to the surprise of Englishmen, who require a full hour. Passing Ware and Edmonton, we are reminded of the ludicrous ride of Cooper's John Gilpin from London on his wedding day. At Waltham we came to one of several crosses which Edward I. erected to commemorate the worth of his beautiful queen, Eleanor. She died in 1290 at Harley, and a cross was built wherever the sad procession stopped en route to Westminster Abbey. The 7th stage or relay brought us to Tottenham High Cross, and 4 beautiful greys carried us 10 miles south, through the suburbs into London. Pretty villas and cottages line the roads, their unique architecture giving exquisite effect, as ivy, Virginia creeper, or roses partially or entirely cover walls, roofs, and chimneys. We began to feel the throb of the mighty metropolis as the mellow notes of the horn cleared the crowded streets while we hurried through Camden Town, Portland Place, and Regent Street. As Big Ben in the Parliament Tower struck 3, we turned into Piccadilly, and pulled up at Hatchett's famous White Horse Hotel with half our journey made. After a 20-minute lunch and several changes in our passenger list, 4 sleek black horses took us westward past the Marble Arch and along Hyde Park and Kensington Gardens, over the Bayswater Road, and out of Middlesex County into Buckinghamshire. Surely no country in the world affords so many lovely landscape views. The grass of the British Isles is always fresh and green, the lawns having a peculiar velvety softness. The foliage of elm, ash, beech, oak, lime, and sycamore, scattered everywhere most artistically, is rich in quantity and colour. The evergreen hawthorn and holly, white with blossom in springtime, and red with berries in the fall, enclose luxuriant crops and pasturage. The pastures abound in groups of pretty sheep, some with black faces and feet, others with long curly fleeces; also choicest breeds of cattle, the white and red shading into each other in every conceivable variety. We no longer wonder at Rosa Bonheur's intense love for domestic animals. Ivy and moss cover the homes of rich and poor alike, and characteristic spires and antique towers spring constantly into view, making the ride in any direction extremely picturesque. The barley fields were all aglow with the scarlet poppy intermixed. The daisies which Wordsworth loved, and an occasional Scottish bluebell, beautified the roadside. Approaching Gerrard Cross, we drove through fields brightened with the tiny purple heather. Before the twilight ended, which in summer continues in England till after 9 o'clock, we had passed on our left the immense estates of the Duke of Somerset, Lord Carrington, and Lady Dashwood. On our left lay the country seat of Lord Beaconsfield. Men, women, and children in nearly 30 villages had now cheered on the Defiance, and driving into Tetsworth, the people sang out, "You are late, captain." "Yes, I know it," he replied. "Hurry up the horses and lanterns. We have yet 12 miles to make in 60 minutes." Already 56 horses had done their work. In less than 3 minutes the fresh animals were on the gallop. The brakes were put on, but down grade they ran, their steel corked shoes striking fire, while the sparks flashed from the friction on the wheels. 6 miles were scored in 25 minutes. The last 4 of the 64 horses were at their task. The darkness of a starlight night, requiring frequent blasts of the horn to keep the road clear, made the race into Oxford most exciting. This was the 129th trip of the season, and the Defiance had not yet been a minute late. The ambitious horses were now crowded to their utmost. Passengers clung to their seats and hats, and held their breath, while the horn announced our coming. High Street reached, we fairly flew past All Souls and Queen's Colleges. Ahead, the streets were crowded with 1,000 anxious citizens. As the clock, in full sight on the old tower of St. Mary's Church, struck 9, we came to a stop in front of the Mitre Hotel, and the enthusiastic crowd gave hearty cheers for the success of English coaching. Captain Blythe was ably assisted in driving by special coachman Edwin Founds and the genial guard Henry Cracknell, both experienced in coaching, and their fathers as well. The Defiance coach makes over 15,000 miles for the season. General Putnam's ride may have been more dangerous, Horace Greeley's down the Sierra Nevadas around more sharp curves, Lady Godiva's more embarrassing, but no ride could be more enjoyable than ours from Cambridge to Oxford. End of Stage Coaching in England, by Charles E. Bolton.